This Week in Startups is brought to you by Walker Corporate Law, a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs. Visit them at walkercorporatelaw.com. And Athletic Greens, the most complete and truly convenient nutritional insurance there is. For 20 free travel packs valued at $99 with your first purchase, go to athleticgreens.com/twist.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of This Week in Startups. I'm your host, angel investor, entrepreneur, writer, Jason Calacanis. We do this show twice a week, and the show is called This Week in Startups. And if you can guess, the topic of this show is startups. And one of the great joys of my life is I get to meet people from all over the world who have crazy ideas that want to bend the world to their version of reality. And one of the ways we do this is I meet with people. That's my job as an angel investor. I just meet with people and I hear how they want to change the world, and then I give them candid feedback. Today's episode, I'm going to hear from 6 companies, all from Australia, and I'm going to give them brutal feedback. They have all agreed to take the red pill, and they will get the honest truth. They will not take the blue pill and be left in fantasy land where ignorance is bliss. I'm going to tell them the truth about their companies, their chances of raising money, and what challenges they're going to face based upon my experience, 25 years in the technology business, running startups, investing in them, 150 investments, 6 of which have become unicorns. And maybe in these 6 is my next investment, maybe a unicorn. Or maybe they're all terrible and should be shut down. We don't know yet. But we're going to find out right now. And there's no reason for us to delay this. We're going to have our first founder, come on the podcast. Aussie. Oz. Okay, they are from Sydney. Is everybody from Sydney?
Yes.
Okay, great. Tell us your name.
Hi, Jason. This is Anshul.
This is Anshul.
Yes.
You mean you're Anshul?
I'm Anshul.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Yeah.
Don't be nervous.
Okay.
Your company name is?
Neuromersive.
Okay. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to pitch me.
Sure.
And then I'm going to give you candid feedback. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, 3, 2, go.
Hi, Jason. It's Anshul, co-founder, CTO at Neuromersive. And we are a virtual reality startup changing the way brain rehabilitation is done. So we're trying to solve a very simple yet very compelling problem. Current rehabilitation is extremely boring, repetitive, and non-compliant. And Neuromersive has come up with a much better way to do this using a combination of virtual reality, functional electrical stimulation, sensory feedback to boost dopamine, enhance neuroplasticity, and achieve 3-fold improvement in outcomes. Our system combines those 3 elements, and we're replacing an extremely manual system with an automated system that measures and tracks progress with people. Our current market size, 300,000 US rehab centers, and we're hoping to capture 30% of that, who currently spend $100,000 per annum on medical devices for rehab. Our unit economics is pretty simple. Cost of acquisition is $1,500 per customer, and we hope to get a return of $32,000 over the course of 3 years. In terms of our founders, that includes myself, I'm the CTO, Rowan O'Reilly, and Oliver Morton Evans. My background, I'm a Hollywood veteran. I worked in the Hollywood industry for 10 years, technical expertise, and in 2006, I won the Academy Award for Technical Achievement for Happy Feet. Rowan, he's the neuro rehab specialist, and he treats hundreds of patients at his clinic using virtual reality. He has been pioneering this technology in Australia. And Oliver, he has 7 years of operational experience on TV, and he lives with a permanent long-term disability and rarely resonates with our customers' pain points. We're here in San Francisco to meet potential investors and seek partnerships to run our initial trials in the US. Thank you, and I look forward to taking some questions.
All right, very well done. I'm going to give you a little golf clap. Everybody in the studio audience can help with that golf clap. Very nicely done. Okay. So, Anshul, am I pronouncing it correctly?
That's right. Yeah.
Anshul, okay. Anshul, Anshul. Anshul is your name. And the name of the company is Neuromersive.
Neuromersive.
Like Neuromersive.
100%,
Okay.
yeah.
And you have an Academy Award.
Yes,
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
When you get that Academy Award, did you sleep with it the first night? Is it in the bed?
Well, not quite, but I have actually.
You put it on the nightstand?
That's right.
Did you sleep with it the first night on the nightstand in your hotel?
Yeah, almost, yeah.
I would sleep with it. I would be like snuggling and spooning with that Academy. That's got to be the greatest feeling. Now,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you won for technical achievement, which means they give you your award in the afternoon.
Yes.
So you get shut out of that nighttime Academy Awards.
Correct.
But did you get to go to the nighttime?
No, actually, it was...
or just given to you and they ship it to you?
Given to me, yeah.
So you didn't get to go have the experience?
No. I mean, it was a big team, so we had to select which team members would go.
Got it.
So unfortunately, I was,
But wait, do you actually have the Oscar, or do you have to share it with like 20 teammates?
No, it's. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's obviously a shared Academy Award, but I was part of the team, so it's a team.
But you don't get your
effort.
actual one.
No, not quite, but it's still pretty good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So I'll tell you some of the check boxes that investors are looking for in founders
Sure.
that you check off. You're obviously passionate about this idea, although you're a little understated when you speak. That's something you can work on, a little more enthusiasm. You're a little monotone in your pitch. But I can tell that you care and that you're really, this hits home for you for some reason. This has meaning to you, which is good. Why is that important? Well, the reason it's important is running a startup is extremely hard, and a lot of people give up. I don't get the sense you'll give up because it has meaning to you, and also you have a strong team around you. That was another great checkbox. Now, when I see VR, virtual reality, I immediately think, oh boy, here we go again. Billions of dollars lost pursuing a virtual reality that will never arrive. Virtual reality has had a big challenge. Every 5 years or so, we think it's here, and then nobody ever uses it. But something has changed recently. These units have gotten really good. The latency problems are gone. They're still too expensive. Not many people are using them, but you don't need a mass audience. That's what I like about this. This is a business-to-business application.
Absolutely.
You have a customer base that has a lot of money. And I love in your presentation that you also had the acquisition cost of $1,500. So that's an incredibly high acquisition cost. That means you're buying tickets to, Hamilton to close a deal or something, or taking people to Nobu. This is a lot of money. You're not just spending $6 acquiring somebody in the App Store or on Facebook ads. So now neuroplasticity. Explain to the audience what this means, neuroplasticity.
Yeah. So neuroplasticity is a concept where if a part of your brain is damaged, the brain has this incredible ability to assign that lost task, which you lost, to another part of the brain. So it's almost
reassign.
Correct.
The duty to, or the skill to another part of the brain.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
So if I were to lose some of my frontal lobes associated with judgment.
Yeah.
Judgment could move to another part?
Potentially. I mean, it depends on person to person, but that's essentially the concept is neuroplasticity. Like if you look at how much of the brain we use, actually, it's a very small percentage of brain.
Less than 10% is what everybody says. Is that actually true?
That's true. So there is a large part of the brain that's actually unused. So brain has this incredible capacity.
What is the evolutionary reason for that? Is it a backup?
I think it's definitely you can call it some form of backup. I think it's because brain is a resilient organ. Because what other organ do we have that is 10x over capacity? Our hearts are not designed to be 10x. No, so it's
their utilization. They're designed to be probably just right.
Yeah, so brain is it's very unique in that sense. It's one of the only organs that's so resilient and so underused.
Or overcapacity. Instead of overused, it might be underused. It might just be overcapacity, which to me would lead that maybe Darwin, and evolution is saying having more brain equals a stronger species. Therefore, extra capacity, why not take it? That's how important the brain is.
Yeah.
Interesting. So putting all that aside, the one disappointing, and I buy the fact that this is a better way because I have used VR systems and people use them for all kinds of clinical reasons, and it works because your mind is actually tricked, and tricking your mind would increase the neuroplasticity. Am I correct in making that assumption?
Yeah, absolutely. So the immersive, the contextual clues in VR, they just, I think the one thing I should mention is what really enhances neuroplasticity is the dopamine. Dopamine is the number one chemical that gets released when you're inside the VR environment because of the novelty.
Got it.
So
Is that going to wear off over time, do you think, if we get used to being in VR? If I was in VR for every day for 100 days, would less dopamine be released? Would I build up a tolerance?
That would be a very long sort of, term thing.
Ah.
Yeah.
So if I were to use the current therapy solution, which you showed on screen was kind of like 2 paddles you'd press.
That's it.
It's incredibly boring.
Yep.
And you want to throw them out the window.
Yep.
But then you showed this gentleman climbing Mount Everest, ice climbing with 2 ice picks.
Yep.
He's obviously sitting on a couch, but it looked like he was actually climbing it, and he had that look of joy on his face with the dopamine being released.
Yep.
So dopamine increases neuroplasticity. Is that what you're saying?
100%, yes. So that's the number one trigger.
Huh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
This is interesting because I'm trying to take up things because I've been reading about this neuroplasticity because I'm getting old, 47. So I took up tennis and backgammon in the last 2 months, and I'm trying to take on a new sport or new activity every couple of months. So I have got the guitar strings. I'm going to get the guitar going. What about neuroplasticity for people who want to do it as not to help them heal or to reassign to places in the brain that they've lost or skills that they've lost because of some trauma? I guess it's mostly trauma-based.
Trauma and, and stroke.
Oh, stroke, right,
Stroke,
of course. Which I guess would be a form of trauma.
Yes.
So what about people who want to optimize and just be sharper?
Yeah.
Is that an opportunity here as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the key is to neuroplasticity is making whatever you're doing, like whether it's stroke therapy or sports, I think it's enjoyment and engagement is the key. I think that's the kind of the underlying word to whether that works through dopamine or it's just purely because you love it so much, you want to do it again and again. I think it's...
What do they charge per session? When you go to this isn't physical therapy, this is rehabilitation is what they call it? Is that the
That's
technical?
correct, yes.
So when somebody goes to rehabilitation after a stroke, when their brain has now, what does it have, lesions in it or something? Is that what happens?
It's basically the part of the brain is dead.
The part of the brain is literally dead, right?
Yes.
So when you go to this therapy or rehab,
Yeah.
what does each rehab session cost? What do they charge currently? Not what you charge, what did they charge?
Yeah, so typically you would be paying from anywhere from $150 to $200 per session.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then you would sell them this software and they would do the same cost? So it'd be apples to apples for the patient, same cost?
That's right.
But better results?
Much better results, like 3-fold improvement in results.
Does that mean the person can get out of rehab quicker and therefore save money for the insurance companies? Or does it mean they get better and they just get a better result, but it costs the same amount of money?
I think it's many factors. So, I mean, insurance, there's a saving for the patient, firstly, and the insurance companies and the overall economy. Like, I think one of the key numbers is there's a cost of $32 billion, and it's well proven to the U.S. economy. So that's how much we spend looking after people with stroke.
Okay, so one thing I would encourage you to do here is to not do these quasi total addressable markets and work down from them,
sure.
Because it doesn't seem very credible. The most credible way to present this is to work bottom up. So bottom up would say, in the United States, there are this many rehab centers, and therefore I can have this many, which you sort of did. And then, or there are this many sessions, and we can save this many sessions, therefore the insurance companies will underwrite this, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to this much, $32 billion is spent on this category. We don't know exactly how that number was compiled, by which analyst with which agenda. You want to do bottom up, and that'll always work out better for you. Is this product in market?
No, it's still in pre-MVP stage.
So you have a minimum viable product,
Yeah.
and you haven't done trials yet.
So not external trials. We actually trialing it because Rowan, he's the other co-founder. He actually owns a clinic. So he's a rehab. He owns a rehab clinic. So we're constantly trialing this technology on patients.
When do you think it will launch?
So we're hoping that we can run external trials in the next 3 to 4 months.
Is this a medical device or service? Does it require somebody to approve it in the Australian government or the United States government, or are therapies not like a medical device or a drug?
I think to the best of my knowledge, therapies are not medical devices.
Right.
So it's a methodology using compliant devices.
Got it.
Already. Yeah.
Number one, great start. Number two, I'm a little concerned about the dollar amounts. That $32,000 is the 3 year, so that means you're only making $10,000 a year. That seems awfully low per clinic, $10,000 a year for the amount of value you're providing. A clinic probably does hundreds, if not thousands of sessions, and you're only going to make 10,000. If they're doing thousands of sessions, it doesn't seem like you're making enough money. You charge per year, per month, $1,000 per device per month. Is that right?
Yeah. So the cost is split into two elements. The first is the hardware cost upfront,
Which is what, just an Oculus and a
headset,
computer?
PC, and a glove. Essentially
Okay.
an upper limb therapy glove, and
So that's $5,000.
Yeah, $5,000 to $10,000, and then $600 per month for the online platform. Yeah.
Okay, and if they want to have 3 setups, it would be $1,800 a month.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little concerned about the pricing. I don't know if this flat rate pricing is the way to go, or to just charge per session.
Yeah.
So every time it's used, it's logged, and they just pay per session. That might actually result in more people adopting it, because they wouldn't have to feel like, oh, if we buy it for $5,000 and we spend $600 a month, what if we don't use it 60 times? Because now we got to use it if we're open 20 days, 3 times a day. What if we don't use it? I might think it might be better to say it's going to be $15 per session, flat rate, boom, and that's it. And it might be easier for you to get people to adopt it, but you'll find that when you go to market.
Yeah.
How much money's been invested to get to this point?
Currently, we're looking at $75,000.
You've invested $75,000 to get your MVP.
That's halfway through the MVP. So
Halfway to MVP.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And to get it to market and get paying customers, how much more money do you need?
I think we've done some sort of early runway numbers. I think we'll be looking at before the acquisition, first customers. I think we need probably about $950,000.
Okay, so you got to invest $1 million to get this product to market. Okay, well, you're off to a great start.
Yeah.
Let's give a big round of applause to Udrew.
Thank you.
Yes, Scott Walker, my good friend, attorney to startups. If you need a great attorney, I want you to meet Scott Walker of the Walker Corporate Law Group. They are a boutique law firm. They specialize in representing and relentlessly supporting startups like you. And they don't charge billable hours. No, they do fixed fees. Why? Because billable hours reward inefficiency. They want you to know what you're going to spend on incorporating, raising money, mergers and acquisitions, terms of service, all the important things. But most important is what I want to tell you today. Scott Walker, I've known for years, and he is a great supporter of startups, and all the lawyers at his firm have decades of experience, 10, 20 years. You're not going to get a junior associate learning on your account and making mistakes in your startup. No. Scott Walker's got a great team over at the Walker Corporate Law Group, and if you want to talk directly to the founder himself, Scott Walker, call 415-979-9998. That number, 415. That's San Francisco. 979-9998. Scott is an old friend. He does a great job. You can email him directly, scott@walkercorporatelaw.com, or visit walkercorporatelaw.com. Scott@walkercorporatelaw.com. And the phone number again, 415-979-9998. Scott's a great guy. Everybody I send over there to his team, every founder I send comes back with a great report. They took their time. They explained everything to me. They held my hand. They made sure I understood the documents I was signing. He's just a class act all around, and he does a great job. So give him a call, 415-979-9998. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode of This Week in Startups. Okay, let's hear from another startup here on our This Week in Startups Australian Roundup. So next up is Carly Hardy. Is that right?
That's correct. Almost rhymes.
Almost rhymes. That's right. And you're from Perth, I understand.
Correct, yeah.
And Perth is in Australia somewhere.
Yeah, so it's another 3,000 kilometres further than Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what animals kill you in Perth?
Lots of things, but there's more death adders than there on the east coast of Australia. Yeah.
There's more deaths on the...
Death adders, like different types of snakes.
Got it. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look forward to that when I come out for the Launch Festival Sydney. My daughter is obsessed with animals that kill humans, and she's very excited about the number of animals in Australia that can kill us.
Yeah, spiders and snakes are the big ones in Sydney.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. You have 2 minutes on the clock. I know nothing about your company. 3, 2, go.
Okay. Hi. So my company is Kooda. We're the tech-enabled food scrap collection service. So we collect food waste from households, offices, restaurants and cafes. And our dream is to make it worldwide, to not send that food waste to landfill. So that's every house, every city all around the world. The reason that's super important for us to do is because when food waste goes to landfill, it creates a chemical called methane, and methane is 84 times worse than carbon dioxide in the short term. So we need to deal with this. Our solution is to create what we like to call compost as a service. We have a fleet of gatherers who swap buckets, empty the buckets, wash the buckets of food waste and return them to local collection points in their local community areas. Let me show you our app system. So we have 2 apps. We have on the left our household app and on the right our gatherer app. Our households can just simply click a button to get their food waste collected, and it comes up on a list for gatherers who are nearby them. The green ones are new households that have just subscribed, and the gatherer knows that they need to deliver new buckets to that new customer. Once they have delivered the buckets, it comes up on the customer app and they know that it got collected. We're finding it really habit forming for households, so they put it out in the morning. When they get home, they just bring their buckets in with them in the afternoon. So the gatherer gets paid per bucket for collecting the buckets, and we've gamified that system a little bit so that the faster they collect the buckets once they're out on the street, the more they get paid. So that's it in a nutshell. Once that food waste is collected, we then take it back to local collection points, and this is where it gets really cool. So we've got a processing centre in each suburb or each district essentially that can do 15 tonnes a week and turn that into 1.5 tonnes of usable product that we can sell.
Okay,
Yeah.
well done. Big round of applause.
No worries.
Okay, so I don't know a lot about this composting, although we do it.
Yeah, Sanford is brilliant.
Yeah, why does compost turn into methane? I thought it just decomposed when you throw it in your garden.
Yeah.
Why does it turn to methane when it's in a landfill?
Yeah, so it's about access to oxygen. So there's 2 different decomposition mechanisms, and they're based on the amount of bacteria that are available. Some of those bacteria need oxygen and some of them don't. So when you put it in a plastic bag and constrict the amount of oxygen it gets, and then you put it in a landfill and you cap it, it can't get any oxygen. And so that's when you get anaerobic decomposition, which makes it break down into methane.
Got it.
Yep. So carbon dioxide has oxygen in it, and the other alternative pathways actually just make carbon dioxide, which is...
So if you take your compost and you throw it into your backyard after it decomposes a bit, it doesn't turn to methane because it's got oxygen.
Exactly, yes.
And that's why when people go to their compost pile, they mix it up.
Yeah, they do. They spend a lot of time and effort and a bit of space as well.
Yeah.
So we're a service for people who don't have that time and energy and space to do the composting
So you take all this
themselves.
food together and then you make chicken nuggets out of it? What happens to it? You said you process it and it becomes something. I was absolutely concerned when I heard that. What did you make from it? Is it make pig food? What do you do with it?
No, we're making a soil conditioner. And
okay, great.
It's
fertilizer.
Fertilizer, yes.
Got it.
So the fertilizer and organics market is huge.
Perfect.
And yeah.
So you can take all that waste, process it, which means what? It gets chopped up or mixed?
Yep. So we actually take it as a public health thing. So we pasteurize it first, then we cool it down, and then
Pasteurize means you boil it.
Yeah, essentially we're heating it for 10 days,
Oh.
cool it down, then we feed it to worms, and the worms then process it, and then we get a sifted product at the end that we can sell via subscription back to our customers and also to green spaces in the city.
Got it. So can this be profitable? Let's go through the unit economics. What do I get paid to bring the compost to the center as a collector?
Yeah, so as a collector, it starts at, in our current operation, we have about 150 households on board, and you get paid per bucket about $1.50. But if you're really fast, it goes up to $3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's call it $2 if you get a bucket.
Yep.
What does that bucket produce, and what can you sell it for? When it turns to compost or turns to fertilizer?
So we have a 90% reduction in volume. So if we take 100 kilos in, we get 10 kilos out. And we're selling that for about $5.60 a litre, or about $2 a pound at the moment.
Okay. So is that a profitable exchange? I don't know how much a bucket holds, so I'm trying to do the back of the envelope.
That's
math
all right.
here.
Yep. So the front end collection service, we're running at a break-even point, and the back end is where we're generating our profits in the sale of our
how does
product.
it run if you're paying people to do this?
Yeah.
Who's paying who?
Okay, so our customers pay a subscription for the collections.
Oh, the customers pay to get collected.
Yeah,
Got
so
it.
they
That was
pay
I
a
missing.
subscription for the first app. It's a subscription service for...
So why would they pay to do this when they could just throw it in the garbage?
Mostly guilt. So a lot of people's parents had chickens or they composted, and now they don't have time and space, and they feel terrible putting it into the bin.
So they're do-gooders.
Yes.
They want to do the right thing.
Yes.
And people in your trials will pay
Yes.
to do the right thing. They have
Yep.
that much of a luxury in society.
Yes.
People have that much free income that they will pay on average $10 a month.
20.
So the average, what's going on in Sydney or Perth? You guys are making a lot of money. You can pay
Yeah, people are
take your
paying
trash
us to take the trash, and they get some of the compost back
Yeah.
again as well.
if they want it.
We're also finding when we do surveys that people find a lot of people, it's like a household friction around their waste. So you might get annoyed at your husband because he forgot to put the garbage out, or you wake up bolt upright in the middle of the night because you know it's garbage night and you heard the sounds. But by taking away all the food waste, we reduce that by 70%. Your garbage bin's not going to be full. It's not going to smell. You're not going to have bin juice running down the hallway.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable pitch.
There's a whole bunch of kind of extra additives that make household life cleaner and nicer and more efficient for people that they then sell to their friends who may not have wanted it for the environmental benefits.
Do you think this can have what we call here in the States venture scale, or do you think this will be a boutique business? Venture scale here means it could become $1 billion company. It could have $100 million in revenue. Is there some bigger idea? If you can get a grassroots movement going, is there some bigger idea here that could really start to print money, not just break even or have a modest profit, but could start churning out, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue?
Yeah, I'm actually really scared by the amount of traction that we've got worldwide. So I got some media coverage May 2017, and I had 1,100 phone calls in 8 days.
So everybody wants to do this. Pent
yeah.
up demand to do the right
Yep.
thing.
Yep, and people, like 2 or 3 emails a week, people saying, how do I franchise what you're doing? From Canada, from America, from England. Islands are contacting me. So if you think of the use case for an island, they import food, they have poor soil quality, and then they export waste. But if we moved into that island, we could take their food waste, put it into the soil, and reduce their waste costs. So I've had phone calls from numerous islands around the world saying, when can you come here? So yes, I think there is worldwide a real demand for this. And,
Interesting. Is there
really
any
exciting.
new technology here other than the app and the distributed workforce, which are valid technologies?
Yeah, so we've got a patent on the way that we're doing the job distribution system for the app. We'll see how that goes, or PCT is in. We're also looking at patenting the process. It's probably an innovation patent for the warehouse processing. And then also looking at some Internet of Things collection buckets and registered designs on those.
Yeah, you'll know if it's full kind of thing.
Yeah,
or if it's
and
empty.
then we're also looking at how we fit into the blockchain world, because we've had manufacturers who are designing for end life composting come to us and actually say, we want you to be the end of life for our product. How do we then map it from manufacturing all the way back down to getting it to Kooda? So we're looking at once we get this base.
You're going to start cremating bodies. That's a joke.
Actually, yeah. So
I'm joking. When you said end of life, I thought you meant like the actual end of a human's life. You're saying end of life for my iPhone or my printer or my old computer.
Yeah,
the manufacturer might actually care about recycling that the way Apple does.
Or what about if your computer was made from a compostable plastic case and the manufacturer paid a token amount at the time of manufacture? We
collect.
tracked it all the way back down. When it gets to Kooda, everyone involved in getting that back to us gets a micropayment.
Apple does that now. They collect your
Yes.
stuff for you, even if it has no resale value. They'll either buy it back from you and sell it in India,
Yes.
your old iPhone, or they'll take old stuff to
Yeah.
recycle them properly.
But we're hoping that 10 years down the track, there'll be a composting ecosystem similar to a metals recycling system.
I'll tell you what I like about this. This is not obvious, and it's something that there'll be a lot of questions about. People will be uncertain if it can actually become a big, large business,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
means there's an opportunity here. So what I will tell you about your experience, how long you've been working on this project?
So we started collecting waste 12 months ago.
Great.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of people are going to be very interested. You're going to get a lot of pats on the back and way to go, and maybe not as much investor interest. I would not let that dissuade you, because when something is so new and hard to understand, the pattern typically is 90% of people don't get it, they pass on investing, and then you, the founder, figure it out, and you figure out how to do it profitably,
Yes.
and then they all come back to you and pretend that they always understood it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I always knew that this was going to work out. I just wasn't ready. My partners, I couldn't get their heads around it. But no, totally. So I think you have to this is going to be one of those businesses where the founder is going to have to prove that there is a business here. Everybody is going to be very impressed with the idea. The app looks great. The early metrics are seemingly pretty good,
Yes.
and this enthusiasm, which is the press you got was a proxy for all those phone calls. So there is some pent up demand here, and the thing to me that's most fascinating, and I think it says something about one of the great states of the world. We talk about how terrible the world is all the time. We obsess over it, but in fact, the world is getting really good and is getting better and better. And one of the reasons is entrepreneurship and innovation is driving us to the point where people are actually able to have so much bounty in their life that they will pay to do something that is in the best interest of everybody, not just themselves.
Yes.
These people are enlightened people, whether it's guilt or just enlightenment. It actually doesn't even matter. As far as society goes, you're a founder who's chosen to do something to help the planet, and people are paying you to take their garbage when they could just give it away for free. This isn't.
It's insane, isn't it?
It's insane and beautiful at the same time. And you know what? The idea that you would sleep on somebody else's couch or let a stranger sleep in your extra bedroom and take $50 from them and make them breakfast in the morning was also crazy. And now it's called Airbnb. Yeah. So crazy things can get very big. So let's give a big.
Can I add something in there too?
Yes.
I think it's interesting that with this generation, you're saying that they're actually being really kind and really nice to pay for having their waste collected, but I actually see that they see it as stupid to have a regular waste collection system that is of convenience to the state or their government, whereas what we're doing is making it convenient for them when they want it. When they go on holidays, they get rid of it first. So it actually plays into, I think, the next generation that actually wants more efficient, better systems that are more convenient for them,
right?
And not necessarily willing to say, oh, I'll just go with what's better for my town or my city to organise.
Yeah.
They want it more efficient for themselves.
It's amazing. Millennials are very interesting people. Yes. Okay, let's hear it for Carly. Well done. Okay, let's meet our next company. It's Mark from SkyGrow. Mark, how you doing?
Hi everybody. My name's Mark Stewart and I'm the CEO and co-founder for SkyGrow, and super awesome to be here today. SkyGrow is solving a huge global problem. That is, to date, humans have been unable to plant trees at a fast enough rate to counter deforestation and to save ourselves. SkyGrow is providing a solution to this by offering the world autonomous tree planting robots to go out and plant trees. SkyGrow's robots plant trees 10 times faster and at 48% of the cost of traditional tree planting techniques. They are also safer and require less effort. Our robots go out in the most terrain types. They use a unique drill to break up hard soil. They plant with tree tubes that protect young plants, and they also have the ability to plant most plant species. They can also add nutrients to the soil, which helps remediate poor soil health. So we've already built our first robot, and from that robot, we learnt that it is far capable of planting trees. It must be robust. Balance and weight is extremely important. And this year, we're actually, by June the 30th, we'll have our next robot out serving our first customers. And our first customers, local government, or counties as you'll call them, and also we're planting for the mining sector and property developers as well. So we've already got our first contracts. We're planting 4,000 trees in the next months for 2 counties. And we plan to serve governments and counties throughout the world and make over $5 billion per annum doing so. We've got a team of experts. I myself am an environmental scientist and tree planting expert. And we also have Dr. Tobias Lowe, who's a robotics and autonomous systems expert. So how can you help us? We're interested in domain experts and investors to bring this to life. Anyone who's a new customer, property developers, government, anyone who's planting a large amount of trees for land restoration, and just send us your support by sending us an email at hello@skygrow.com.au. All right. SkyGrow, creating a better world by using robots to plant trees. Thank you.
Well done. Big round of applause. Okay, so you're pretty early. You built a prototype. Now you're going to build your production version. And I saw the 4,000 trees will net you $50,000. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
That's $12 per tree at my back of the or so. $12.50 per tree. Is that right?
Yep, that's about right. Yep.
Does that include the cost of the tree itself, or they'll give you the baby trees?
So that includes everything.
So that seems like a heck of a deal. $12 to plant a tree. Is that
Yep.
too cheap or just right?
No, that's right. So we've heard from some government entities paying up to $150 for a tree. We're not planning it for that much, of course, because that seems very excessive. But we aim for about that $10 to $15 mark.
And so you have to get the government to decide they want to plant trees.
So the government already has targets to plant trees. And that's approximately on average about 30,000, and so per county, and they're failing to meet that target, which is really interesting. And they're super passionate about the fact that we can go out and plant trees for them.
Does SkyGrow take this little robot, which for people who are listening looks like one of the delivery robots we have here in San Francisco running around with burritos, but imagine a six-wheeler, little Mars rover-like vehicle that shoots the plants in to the ground when they're just seedlings, I guess, or what are they, like a year old or 6 month old?
They're about 12-month-old plants.
Okay, perfect.
So about 40 centimeters in height.
Got it. And so do you sell them the robot, or do you sell them the planting services? Because it sounds to me like this robot is very nascent. You're going to need to operate it, or somebody trained is.
Yes, so we're a land restoration tree planting service on behalf of everyone, and we have the technology to do so.
Weren't people dropping seedlings from planes and trying to insert them into the ground? Wasn't that going to be the model?
I think people have tried to date a lot of different methods, and so far it has been unsuccessful, which is supported by the amount of trees that have been planted to date. So what we've done is systematically gone through, identified what all the challenges are with growing a tree out in the environment, and we've addressed every single one of those challenges.
Can you also grow the trees with robots and have the robots load the robots that plant them, and then just create a lights-off factory that ships trees forever into places where we've had deforestation? Is that the next phase of this?
Certainly, I think that is definitely likely to be a path. We haven't gone into much detail of that side of things, but certainly we see a big opportunity using growbots, as we call them, to really change the whole way that we're currently dealing with land restoration and tree planting on the planet.
It's fascinating. Robots, it's very interesting, like virtual reality. A lot of false starts. We thought robots would change everything, and all we got was a Roomba, which works for certain rooms, but not for all homes. And, if the best a robot could do is vacuum for us, it seems a little bit underwhelming. And here we have something which isn't working in a factory. It's actually out in the real world, which makes it super compelling. So I'm not sure how venture fundable it is right now. I think venture capitalists are going to have a hard time with this type of investment. So getting early on grants from governments or, who want to plant large amounts of trees, or just getting contracts up front is going to be a key. Why does it have to be small? I noticed it's small. Is it small because it has to navigate spaces, or
That's correct. We just it's small so it can move through the environment with ease. So that's the main thing there.
Would this be something that the people who are actually doing the deforestation would buy to plant as they rip trees out?
Yeah,
to make furniture and firewood or whatever they're using those trees for.
So with forestry, they're pretty well established. And most forestry don't mind about impacting the environment as they move through, because they've got large heavy machinery planting, for example, radiator pine. Whereas these ones are specifically designed for land restoration to have minimal impact on the surrounding environment as they move through, and to restore the ecosystem.
It's a fantastic idea. It's way out there, and it's one of the things I love about the moment in time we're living in, which is crazy ideas like this are starting to go from something that would seem like science fiction to seeming like something that we should already have. Seems like we should have this already. Exactly. And nobody else has done this.
So now's the time to make the big change.
But nobody else has done it before? Nobody's ever done it?
No one's ever done what we're doing.
No.
So it's time.
Is that like one of those caveats that there's somebody doing something slightly different? Like, who's the competitor here?
Well,
is there somebody with a robot that does it or no?
No.
What's the nearest competitor?
Probably, without You want me to say the competitor?
Sure, why not? Or just who are they? What do they do?
So
how do they do it?
biocarbon engineering.
Uh-huh.
Sound like they've got a beautiful heart in the way that they're going out and doing things. They're using drone technology. And drone technology has the benefits of being able to move around anywhere using the sky. However, there's a lot of problems with actually addressing what's happening on the ground.
So what do? They land the drone?
So they fire a pod into the ground. And
like with a gun? Like with gunpowder?
With an air gun
An
that
air
has
gun.
a seed inside.
Ah.
Now, the situation is only certain species will germinate and grow using seed. Also, soil often needs to be remediated in relation to poor soil health, so you need to use nutrient injections into it. And also, you can only plant certain species, so that's the big one. Breaking up hard soil is also something else that our GrowBot does.
Right. If the soil's too hard, the air gun, the seed aren't going to go in.
That's right. And another benefit, just to say, is we actually plant with tree guards on them. So they're actually, we call them tree tubes, and that protects young plants from being predated on by, for example, animals and birds.
Amazing. Let's hear it for SkyGrow. Well done.
Thank you.
Hey, let me take a moment to thank Athletic Greens. I have found something that has put me at the top of my game. If you've been following my Insta, you know I'm out there on the tennis court, volleying and serving and just getting out there and trying to be less fat. I am loving playing tennis, and I have been taking Athletic Greens. They are delicious, and my wife likes the fact that I'm getting healthy and not drinking 18 Diet Cokes a day anymore. I am drinking my Athletic Greens. She makes me a beautiful smoothie in the morning. The whole family makes them, and we all drink this Athletic Greens, and they spent 10 years creating this. It's efficient, complete, convenient, nutritional insurance for you. 75 ingredients covering 11 areas of your health, and ensures you give your body what it needs through the day so you can power through and get everything done as an entrepreneur or a journalist or whatever you're doing. If you're listening to this, student, it replaces a fistful of supplements, and I don't like taking all those pills, and it adds critical nutrient support. Again, we love it. We drink it. And actually, people here at the office have been drinking it. So here is a special deal for our This Week in Startups listeners. 20 free travel packs, because when you're traveling, God, that's when it goes right out the window, the diet. 20 free travel packs valued at $99 with your first purchase. Getting into a daily routine with Athletic Greens really will be the single best thing you do for your health and success this year. I can say that. So go to athleticgreens.com/twist, athleticgreens.com/twist, and claim your special offer today. That's athleticgreens.com/twist. Don't miss out and get that free 20-day or 20 travel packs for free, valued at $99. Thanks again, and welcome to the program, new partner, Athletic Greens. So nice to have you here with us. Okay, welcome back to This Week in Startups. Today we're hearing from 6 startups from Australia who happen to be in town here in San Francisco. We have all kinds of caravans of startups come through town, and once in a while, if it looks interesting, I'll invite a selection of those companies to come on This Week in Startups to share with us their ideas and how they want to change the world. And then I give them some absolutely candid, sometimes brutal feedback. And the goal of the candid feedback is so that people can fix any leaks in their startups or think about the challenges they might have before those challenges actually arrive. We're not doing it for some sadistic sport. We're doing it because we want to see everybody succeed. Okay, next up is Kiddsbay. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Adelina.
Adelina, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, 2 minutes on the clock. Tell us about Kiddsbay. 3, 2, go.
Sure. Kiddsbay, I'm the co-founder. Kiddsbay is an online global community where kids can actually create and launch their online business in a safe and fun and educational environment. So I'll show you how it works. So Kiddsbay consists of a business building wizard. So it takes kids through a step-by-step process on how to actually create and launch their business. It also requires parent authentication, so parents can actually get involved in the process and also track their progress of their children as they actually work their way through Kiddsbay. Kids are also rewarded along the way, and so to incentivise them. You'll also see that there's Marvin. Marvin's the educator who provides tips and guides in case kids get stuck along the way. Kiddsbay also takes kids to the Kiddsbay Academy, which consists of a whole range of educational material, including tutorials and quizzes as well. Kids get to choose via a range of different business templates, so they can actually launch their business in a real environment where they can actually start making money by selling their new products or used goods as well. So in addition to making real money, they also can make some virtual currency, and they can use that currency to redeem within Kiddsbay by upgrading their business store or to unlock certain features within the site. There's also an online community, so kids can actually connect with other kids globally, and this provides a network for children for later on in life. So Kiddsbay is all about kickstarting kids' financial independence by unleashing their entrepreneurial spirit. 65% of kids entering primary school today will ultimately be performing jobs that don't even exist yet. So Kiddsbay will provide kids with practical life skills to ensure that they're equipped and they're future ready in this rapidly changing employment landscape by providing them with business acumen, financial literacy, communication, negotiation, and problem-solving skills. Kiddsbay consists of 8 people. The other co-founder is also my husband of 21 years, and our children who are our inspiration and motivation for Kiddsbay. We also have a part-time CTO, full-time UX UI designer. We've got 2 developers. One's an expert in gamification, and we've also got 2 marketers. So thank you.
Okay, well done. Let's give a big round of applause to Adelina. So I love the idea of kids getting involved in entrepreneurship earlier. Kids have a natural inclination to be founders, and you're right, the future for them is uncertain. We don't even know what to teach them in college, and we just take $100,000 or $200,000 from them and tell them to pay it back, and they have no skills to really go out there and actually do that. So anything that can get kids more engaged is awesome. I have 2 questions. One is, how do you make money? And the second is the selling of the goods actually happening in the real world? Like they're trying to sell their old stuff like a garage sale? Or was that like a simulation?
No, they actually do get to sell their real products. So it's an online e-commerce marketplace. So it's the lemonade stand gone digital. In terms of the business model, it's a subscription-based model. So each child pays per month, and that obviously gives
$5 a month, $10 a month.
About $5. So we're testing that at the moment, and that gives them their rent space. So it's paying rent for their shop and also for the access to the academy.
So again, I always like to say, here's how I think the venture capital community, which is the phase after I typically invest. I'm a seed angel investor.
Yep.
I always like to prepare people for how they might react to an idea like this. Everybody's going to like it. Everybody's got kids. They're going to think it's charming. And, oh, my God, you're in it for the right reasons. And your kids are adorable. And, yes, we all love our kids. And then they're going to go, can this be a marauding, capitalist, money-printing machine? And that's where they're going to get a little bit, I think you're going to have a little bit of a hard time explaining to them how this gets really large. And that's where I think the analogy of, say, The Sims or some of these video games out there, how big they have gotten, and Minecraft and other things. So I think of what you're doing as Minecraft for kids, for entrepreneurs, and I think there are some nice analogies out there of businesses that have gotten very large that didn't exist before, because this really hasn't existed before in the world.
That's correct, yeah. I mean, there's business enterprise programs, there's obviously e-commerce sites that aren't exclusively for children, but there's no end-to-end. And a lot of the courses that do exist for children, they have a start date and an end date. So Kiddsbay provides continuity. So it's something that kids can start and they can continue with their business and continue to learn and evolve.
What's the ideal age here?
The ideal age is 8, probably 8 to 10. However, Kiddsbay is open, from age 5. It is a collaborative tool, so it's designed to be able to, the child collaborates with the parent, so to engage in the dialogue.
Is it launched yet?
We've got an MVP, and we're testing it with a select group of customers.
So it's fascinating. It's a little bit, I think there's a lot going on. So I wonder if there's too much going on. Like I thought the eBay, or pick a different type of business, like maybe the real world thing. I wonder if adding that adds another layer of complexity to the just simple Sims or Angry Birds Minecraft kind of, idea that it's just a game. But maybe that is the game, and you'll find out through testing. And I encourage you to do that, because maybe the actual game here is not Kiddsbay. Maybe it's just garage sale, and it's a way for kids to learn how to do garage sales. Yep. So when you're in this MVP stage, I would stay very open-minded to what features resonate, and be open-minded to getting rid of 90% of the features, even though you're in love with them and you built them and they were your ideas and they're your babies and kids in a way. But you want to get rid of all of that stuff if one thing shines. So if the thing that shines is kids really like building things or buildings, or they really like the garage sale thing, maybe you eventually take this app and shut it down and you just do something called Garage Sale for Kids. And it's a garage sale, because I thought that was a very fascinating idea, which is, yeah, parents always want their kids to do a lemonade stand or to do a garage sale. Maybe it should just be, here are 3 real world businesses you could do. Unlock each one for $29, or $10. And you get to do that business, learn how to do it, watch videos, and your parents get to go through it step by step. And you just learn how to sell stuff on eBay and Craigslist and do a garage sale. You learn how to do a lemonade stand. And it's like classic business ideas, and it teaches those themes, as opposed to this sort of hybrid of it's a game and it's virtual like The Sims, or it's real world. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yep.
So just keep your mind open to that possibility. And if one thing works really well, if it's just lemonade stands, and the lemonade stand concept just draws people in, sometimes narrowing the focus allows you to build a phenomenon in a much better way than having a ton of features. Because this is a chatbot and a profile and the gamification, there's a lot going on here. And so you'll see when you test it. And I encourage you to do something called like a listening lab, and you can look this stuff up online. Just some ways of watching people use it and seeing if they can grok it. Because when you create something new in the world, it's typically very confusing. And if you spend a lot of time building before you start testing, you could put too many features in and make it too confusing. So sometimes it's better to release something early that's one-dimensional and simple, make it's so dead simple to understand that then you add another feature. Then after everybody absorbs that feature, you add the next one. And the example I would give is Uber didn't have UberX, Uber Pool, Uber Eats, Uber Messenger, Uber Bikes, and Uber Black Town Cars on day one. Every year or two, they added one of those features, and after 10 years, it was like, oh, they have a collection of different services you can get on Uber. Great. And you could absorb one at a time every 6 months and understand them.
Okay, no, look, that's fantastic. And we are actually the first, a beta testing we'll be releasing will be the business building component.
Good, awesome.
Yeah, followed by the e-commerce platform after we observe interaction and feedback from our customers.
And if it doesn't work, you want to iterate on it, because sometimes it takes 3 or 4 swings at bat before you get there. Before Instagram, the founder, Kevin, was working on something called Bourbon. So there's all these stories of people working on products, they didn't work, and then they pivoted over to the next one.
Yep.
All right, let's hear it for Adelina.
Okay, thank you.
Well done. Okay, we're moving right along with great startups from Australia, and our next one is VetChat. And Claire, you're the founder.
Yes.
Okay, you have 2 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Dr. Claire Jenkins, the CEO and co-founder of VetChat. We are connecting pet owners and veterinarians through technology. I'm a veterinarian, and I know firsthand the peace of mind and relief that my knowledge brings to pet owners when they don't know what's wrong with their pet. And it's simply not practical to take your pet to a bricks and mortar vet every time you've got a question around food, vaccination, worming, health, or just behavioural advice. A vet is the most trusted advisor for every stage of the pet's life cycle, from choosing a pet, their health, to end of stage advice. We deliver an easy access and affordable access to a veterinarian online via one-on-one video consultations and on-demand chat. So let's see how it works. So you get home from work at 8 p.m. and your pet's whimpering in the corner and you don't know what to do. Now you can go to vetchat.com.au, press for chat, put in a few details about your pet and your issue, make a payment with your credit card, and within a few minutes you'll be connected to a veterinarian. You're getting personalised advice so that you know exactly what you need to do. In the US, $8.7 billion is spent on non-urgent veterinary advice. Of this, of our data and our experience, we deem that 16% of this is addressable. And we are also obviously looking at the bigger opportunity of not just when your pet is sick, but that for every life stage advice. Alongside me, with my over a decade of industry experience, is my co-founder, Matt Hall, who's got great experience in product and digital strategy. We have helped almost 2,000 owners, and they've told us how they've received peace of mind, reassurance, understanding of their next steps, and even that we have saved their pets' lives. We are not raising around at the moment, but we are looking for introductions to early stage marketplaces and pet tech within the Bay Area so we can learn from their successful scalable customer acquisition strategies and growth strategies. And we are also looking for a really great engineer. So if you want to be part of the future of pet care, please email me at claire@vetchat.com.au.
Okay, well done. Big round of applause. Okay, I have bulldogs, and you know bulldogs are the most expensive dogs to own, correct?
Definitely, yep.
Is there any dog more expensive that has more challenges that you can think of?
Not really, no.
That's it.
Any kind of short-nosed breeds have a lot of trouble.
The brachials have problems.
They do.
And my bulldogs on average live?
About 8 to 10 years.
And my 2 bulldogs are now 12 because we take exceptional care of them.
Fantastic.
My previous one died after 8.5, but he had a heart attack, and that was brutal. But you deal with this a lot, and if you get a full 8 years, you feel pretty good about it. But the 2 I have right now, Taurus and Fondu, are 12, and the amount we spend on vet care is crazy, and the amount we know now after 20 years of bulldog ownership is phenomenal. My wife is basically a bulldog vet, and we know how to deal with the ear issues and the skin folds, and we give shots at home. So in a way, because we've done this so often, we don't go to the vet trusts us, and we just tell them, listen, it's an ear thing, we know we need this, and they send us the medicine and whatever. So I think that this is a brilliant idea because packing up the dog to go takes a lot of time, and $39 for a 30-minute consultation or up to 30 minutes, is that what I saw?
It's about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, so I thought that was too good of a deal. So $39, $2 a minute basically, is what you would spend when you go to the vet anyway?
No, so usual it will
minimum 75 or something?
Yes, it can go up to 120 for a regular consultation or more out of hours. In Australia, it's certainly $200 to $300.
So you're netting the vet half or 2/3 of what they normally get. So why would they do this?
So for veterinarians, it's about being able to earn revenue for their skills at their convenience. So it's utilising their time and giving them ability to earn more money.
Got it. So they might be able to, when they're not working, get a call routed to them and be able to give a good consultation.
Absolutely.
And can they give medicine, because some of it is prescription, I guess, after doing a virtual video conference? Or is there some rules around it? Because I know that doctors can do video consultations here to give people a cannabis prescription or some prescriptions, anti-anxiety medication, but I'm not sure they could give like opioids as an example without seeing the person.
Yes, so we want to learn about the legalities in America, but at the moment we are not doing prescriptions. We are purely an online advisory service and complementary to the existing bricks and mortar infrastructure.
Because that's the key. You got to figure out how I can get the prescription to and get it shipped to my house. But this has got very... this exists in a couple of other verticals, obviously, and I think it's got legs, so to speak. And I think you've got one of the things that was great about your presentation, by the way, was you kind of understood your numbers, and that builds your credibility. So startups, in a way, are a credibility building exercise when you're talking to investors. You're building a story. Does the story make sense? And does this founder make sense? Well, you're a doctor, you're a vet, and you obviously care deeply, so we know you're motivated by it because you went to school for it, and you've got some deep insights into it, but you also had your NPS score, and you also had the number of customers you've had and all this data right at your fingertips, which means you've met with investors before, and you know what they're going to ask. So you anticipated a lot of the questions I would have. So this is of the pitches so far, this is the one most likely to get a follow-up meeting with me because it feels like you've figured a lot out. And different investors like to engage at different times. When you're trying to figure out product market fit, that's probably too early for me, but there are other people who just love being part of the product building phase. I like being part of the product's finished and let's scale it and get you to a Series A phase. Different people have different specialities. So I think it's really, really well done. And I think that you will get a warm reception from this if you keep the metrics going.
Yeah.
And that focus on metrics is critically important.
Yeah.
And the margin too, which is, the other thing I'm interested in. I was disappointed when it was only advice and I couldn't get the prescriptions. So I think that is the key. You got to put a little more work into that one and get that sorted.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Good start. Let's give her a big round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we've done a great job today of meeting amazing founders, and our next dynamic speaker, Tom Young, is with Udrew. Now, you spent a lot of years doing theater, I understand, a lot of time on stage, correct? Thespian, a lot of Shakespeare. What did you do, Macbeth?
Well, I'd say that's slightly misinformed. If by theatre you mean pub, yes, I spent a lot of dedication and years.
I'm joking. You're a little nervous.
Yeah.
You're a lot nervous. All right. I'll get you through the nervousness. Take a deep breath. Now, understand, by being a founder, let it out, by being a founder, the act of being a founder and building a company and getting here, you are 1 in 1,000. Most people, the other 999, have ideas and they never execute on them. You've already won. You understand me? You've already won. Therefore, you're the boss. You're in charge. You know what you're doing. You're a gladiator. You're a warrior. You're a samurai. Okay? You've already won. So now tell me how you're going to change the world with Udrew in 3, 2, 1.
I'm glad you asked, Jason. So have you ever undertaken a home improvement project or construction project?
Yes.
Now, from my experience in the industry for years and been on the other side, I've just found it to be incredibly costly. It's very timely and really frustrating to have to deal with so many third parties. And then you've got to get local county and city approval as well for your project. Well, the good news is our patented and award-winning system called Udrew, we've streamlined the entire process, and we're allowing anybody to be their own engineer, architect, materials estimator, surveyor, and so on, all in one easy-to-use location. What we've also done is teamed up with government, and we're offering a world first of instant planning and building approvals. And we've taken the whole process down from a matter of months to less than 5 minutes, and we're saving thousands of dollars per construction job. But you don't have to believe me. I'd like to show you a video I prepared earlier. So just for some background, I've just had to set up a project, and we've chosen to design a fence. And here we go. So the system, it's identified where the lot boundaries are, and in a very simple way, you're drawing roughly where your structure is going to go.
And we're looking here at a satellite image from Google Maps.
Yes, that's correct. And basically, as you draw it, it'll go red if you can't draw it, if it doesn't meet the local regulations or if there's something wrong with the engineering. And what it does is automatically learns and adapts to build around things if they're in the way. So what's happening, it's what's not happening here that's important. We've got so much information and algorithms running in the background. We can tell where every water pipe is, every tree, all the geological data and so on. So right now it's just calculated several million engineering calculations and generated the preview of our drawings. This is all drawn to scale, and as people they can select items and it draws it in real time back onto their design. So you can really get an idea of what it is you're actually building before you have to pay someone to go ahead and construct it. And we've got about 30 seconds left. So the user's able to then play around with it, and until they get the design that they're happy with. As they do it, it recalculates every engineering calculation, counts every brick, every bag of sand, cement, nail, screw, everything involved in the project, and it prints you out a nice little shopping list at the end. So right now it's gone through all the local county regulations, and the green tick just means it's met requirements. If it doesn't, it highlights which area and it tells you how to fix it. Here's a preview of our final building plans. And what happens is it all gets emailed to the user in a final email just to confirm at the end. And thank you very much. And there's a lot involved, so I'm sure you've got lots of queries. I'd be happy to attempt to answer all of them.
Well, I don't have any queries for you, but I do have some questions. Let's give them a big round of applause. I also need to understand what these patents are, because at other business I thought there was a lot of patents available, but I don't know about these patents.
Yeah, or patents. Yeah, sorry, that's the Australian coming out.
Oh, is it? I'm joking. All right, take it easy over there, Tom. This is fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
You were nervous. I understand. You have no reason to be nervous. This is one of the most innovative things I've seen in a while.
Oh, thank you.
If it actually works. It's one of those things where I watched you doing it and I was just like, this is BS. This is too complex. And the moment I stopped believing you was when you sent me all the drawings and the permits and everything. And I thought, my God, this is so complex to do something like this. What else can I build? You showed drawing a fence.
Yep.
Then you gave me the architectural drawings and the permits and everything. Mm-hmm. I guess I could forward that to a construction person and have them come out and actually do it.
Yep. So this is our pilot version. So we're focusing on fences at the moment. We've got 47 structures that we've identified, and we're going to roll out the next 22 very quickly after the pilot.
You started with fences because they make good neighbors, and it's something everybody wants to do, and it's something that is, the regulations are concise.
Yeah, and there's some very interesting engineering principles involved in such a simple structure. So we need to be able to calculate the wind loading, so make sure it's not going to blow over, the weight that's going down into the soil, so the soil mechanics and the geological terrain, and a number of other really important, crucial elements that we're then able to just tack on extra modules and expand the library very, very simply each structure from here on.
What liability do you have making drawings for people to go build stuff and file with the building permits? Do they sign a waiver that says you're not responsible, they have to get it checked out by a third party? How does that work? Because LegalZoom has a similar issue. They're not lawyers, but they give people legal documents. They seem to have navigated it.
Yep. Effectively, we're a software company, so we're providing the tools. We do have an in-house chief structural engineer who's certifying every document that goes through here.
Oh, okay.
So him and I, we sat down together and coded up all the algorithms that check all the engineering. And I wasn't exaggerating. It literally goes through millions of calculations in that
Clearly it does, yes.
lag there. And
because people didn't see this at home, when you were doing it, you were changing the type of stone from limestone to granite or whatever. You were changing the type of wood. You were changing the height.
Yep.
All of these things impact each other. So if you make the height taller, it has more weight. It would blow over easier.
Yep.
You might have to make a deeper
absolutely
casings or whatever they're called.
Yeah, the foundations, the concrete. So it's all very heavily calculated, and it will always ensure that you get the most efficient and safe design. So
it's a fence builder, does all that stuff, all online, and then you have somebody review it to make sure it's tight.
So
what does it cost?
The system actually does all the reviewing for you. So we've developed APIs with our pilot council, and we're working together to create the world's first instant approval system. And so it checks all the data through our system, creates a digital report, sends it to their server directly, and an API then files it into their archives and does all the analysis for them. So we're really hoping this is going to contribute to the smart city planning of tomorrow.
So the city would also get benefit from this because their person who has to approve it would be less likely to make a mistake because they are humans and they can make a mistake on the calculation.
Absolutely. So with this, fingers crossed because we're still piloting, we haven't come across any mistakes at all so far. In fact, it's actually proven that 2/3 of existing submissions for this type of structure were actually incorrect and should not have been approved because they were dangerous. The other third were grossly over-engineered. And the last job specifically, we saved 6 times the amount of concrete just for a fence.
Amazing. And your background is?
So my background is always been in the construction industry. Probably would be illegal these days starting when I did. So my dad would take me to building sites on the way to school and push me up into crawl spaces that he couldn't fit in. And I went on to do structural drafting throughout high school because I lived in the country and there was nothing to do. And by the time I graduated high school, I was a qualified structural draftsman where I went on to study geology. And then from there, I went and did a few college certificates on engineering and structural engineering.
What does it cost?
When
I use the system, yeah.
So at the moment, it's looking about 70% cheaper than the current industry.
Great. So what does it cost?
We're doing market research at the moment. So I'm not sure about the costs in the US, but in Australia, the final plans for this, they're often between $1,500 to $2,500. We're looking at doing $300 to $400 for the whole lot.
So you'll lower the price by 40, 50, 60, 70%, something like that.
As much as we can. And we're also teamed up with big
Just
local...
in Silicon Valley, give an exact answer. Be more marauding. It'll be half price of doing it with an architect.
Okay, we'll go half price. I'm aiming for 70% off, but...
okay, so just what I'm saying is when you're here in Silicon Valley, just be definitive. You can always change your mind later or tweak it, but it's a pro tip from me to you. You want to always be planting a flag and saying, our goal is to be 70% less.
Yep.
If you want to qualify it, but I would just say we're 70% less.
Yep.
So one group of people will say we're 70% less. The next will say we try to be 70% less. Another group of people will say is we kind of think maybe 30 to 70. Another group of people will say it depends. I'm not sure, or we'll see.
Okay.
And as you move up that stack, credibility increases. So just a pro tip when you're talking to investors or just even talking to stakeholders, we're 70% less.
Yep. Okay, we're 70% less. And
we'll see how much better that sounds. And then they can say, well, in this case, you were only 40% less. It's like, yeah, you found a cheap architect. But we believe on average, 70% is the right number.
And the cool thing is we're also negotiating with the government to reduce the costs of actually submitting these types of works and teaming up with large suppliers and retailers to offer heavily discounted materials that you can just order at the click of a button, get delivered to your house in an IKEA-like fashion, and you can do it yourself if you want.
We're seeing these type of tools for doing interior design.
All right.
Right? Of course, people do these, and people are using augmented reality to see what that couch looks or these shelves look like in your house. It's only a matter of time before somebody was talented enough and had the wherewithal to do this for the 43 categories you've addressed. And each one of them is going to take you 6 months to 12 months to perfect. So you've outlined probably 20 years worth of work, correct?
It's funny you should mention, so it's taken me 10 years to design the system and to collate all the data that wasn't there to create the algorithms. So what you've just seen here, that's actually really doing it. That's all genuine and real. And the only lag that was on there is because it was connected to the internet.
Next one should take you less than 10 years.
The next one, we should be able to do one structure a week if we get the right team on board.
Yeah, I'm going to say one structure every 2 or 3 months because you're going to want to have a lot of tweaking and redundancy, and getting it wrong has got a high price. So you're probably going to want to take your time, and you also want the market to be able to absorb these new features.
Yeah.
And you want to have time to market them. So, hey, we started with fences, and now we're doing gazebos and sheds, and next we're doing, in-law units, second guest houses, and now we're doing kitchens, whatever it is.
Yep.
And you want to do them well. So if you have 40 categories, if you do one every 3 months, in 10 years, you'll have all of them.
The cool thing is it's the invisible part that's the hard part. So that's getting the wind or the engineering calculations. So we've got that now. So the actual drawings themselves, that's quite easy. And so
it's amazing. I mean,
thank
soon
you.
you're going to be able to have you're going to be able to do this in a Blade Runner like way where you just talk to it. And you're going to be like, I'd like a fence. And it's going to show you a fence in front of us. And you're like, I want a nice looking fence. It's going to show you the next thing. You're like, I would like a wood fence. And I would like to have stone, and say, how high do you want it? You say, I want it like 6 feet high. And I say, oh no, 6 feet's too high. I want 4 feet high. And it's going to be, okay, you can't use that stone anymore because it's going to tip over or whatever. And so, the idea that you're going to pick it from check boxes and everything, that's going to go away soon too, right? You're just going to be able to
Yeah. So this is the pilot, and we're hoping to fully immerse people into it. I won't give too much away, but we've got the designs ready.
Well, certainly AR, VR experiences with this is a no-brainer. The visual, the voice interface, but that stuff is all that interface stuff is going to be pretty easy for you to do. The hard part is knowing what to build and why, and you have figured that out. This is super impressive. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thanks very much.
Okay, now I'm going to take you through my top 3 and why. Now, this doesn't mean that anybody's lost. It just means they haven't won. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. I will go through each one and just give my general thoughts. Obviously, I very much enjoyed Udrew because never seen anything like that. Provides massive value. I don't know if it's too good to be true or not, but it is super impressive. VetChat looks like something that is going to have the easiest chance of printing money because it's obvious. It's been done before in other categories, and the founder seems very qualified. Although I don't know if it's going to change the world or just be a great business, but it's well on its way. Kiddsbay is very early. They're feeling it out. Skygrow also very early. They got to build the robot. They just got that MVP. Now, Neuromersive, that seems like the timing's pretty good because VR headsets, they don't have to innovate on those. They're just being innovated on by Oculus and other folks. So they draft off of all that amazing effort, and they just have to figure out how the efficacy works in a rehab environment, a place where, sadly, a lot of people find themselves and where there's a lot at stake. So when there's a lot at stake, that means you can charge a lot of money, and you saw that with their customer acquisition costs of $1,500. Kooda is a wild card of wild cards. My gosh, people are paying to take their trash out, to do the right thing when they don't have to. All this stuff is just wild and interesting to me. This is a very strong group. And you can see ones that are obvious and ones that are new. And that's always interesting for VCs and investors. When something is completely new, you'll see investors engage a lot deeper and they're less cynical. When something has been done before, like VetChat, and they say, oh yeah, I saw a company doing that for this, this, and this, they might be less, they might be a little more cynical about, oh, it exists already, but those businesses could also print money. So, I am going to pick Neuromersive as my number 3. Congratulations. I think you know why. It's super interesting. And you're going to be able to make money and do well and do good. And I buy the story that this is going to have higher efficacy. We'll see. But a motivated team and a product whose time is now, because the why now. Everybody asks, why is this idea going to work now? Well, the reason it's going to work right now is people putting on a VR headset is something they want to do, and the VR headset's not 300 pounds, and they're getting lighter, and the technology's ready. It works. And it didn't work previously. Like GPS used to not work, and now it's on every phone, and it works flawlessly. Now, my number 2 is a bit of a wild card. I can't believe I'm picking them because it's the one I would be least likely to invest in at this moment. But it is so fascinating because of the early traction, and that's Kooda. I don't know how this becomes a big business. I'm confounded by it. And I think it's got a very slim chance of being a big business. But if it does become a big business, it could change the world, and it's super fascinating to me if they could figure out how to get people to pay them to then sell them back their fertilizer. That, to me, the ability to make money taking the fertilizer and making the fertilizer, it's just hilarious and interesting and could have incredible potential. If it's a business, I'm not sure. Whereas all the other businesses, there was a clear path to revenue. Even Kiddsbay, there's a clear path to revenue there, even though it could be de minimis and it's hard and kid stuff is hard, but there's a clear path there, right? People pay for software already. They like to buy stuff in the App Store. Really like Skygrow, pretty nascent. Really like VetChat. I think it's going to do well, but I've seen a million of these businesses, and it probably would have been my number 4, but I go with Udrew as my number 1 because I think it provides such an unbelievable value proposition and such massive cost savings for everybody in the equation. For the person who wants to build the fence, for the person who wants to provide the materials, they're going to be able to find buyers quicker, easier, more fluidly, and ship their entire order, and for the people who have to approve it. So Udrew is my winner. Well done. Overall, I found everybody to be very strong. We will be in Sydney in June on the 19th, 20th. The week of the 19th, I'll be there for Launch Festival. We'll do a little angel summit the day before for 4 hours. We're going to do a startup safari on Thursday when I'm there, go out and visit some companies, and then we'll go dive the Great Barrier Reef and hopefully not run into any of the murderous animals that Sydney and the Australia specializes in. So we will see you all down under. And thank you so much for tuning in to This Week in Startups. And thanks to our friends in Australia for hosting us in Sydney. And we cannot wait to get down there in June. If you would like to join us, go to launchfestivalsydney.com. Launchfestivalsydney.com. All 1,500 founder tickets have been given away for free, but there are some paid tickets that are reasonably priced at the site, and we can't wait to see you there. Bye-bye.